Welcome, everyone, to the Midday Connect. Hope you enjoyed meeting some new folks in the breakout rooms. Thanks, Hannah, for organizing and keeping us straight. Also wanted to give a shout out to our sponsors. If you're here today representing one of the sponsors, if you want to drop into the chat an upcoming event or something to spotlight or an article to call out, would love to see that. I know Forecaster's got a meeting on Thursday, how to be more confident, how to instill confidence in founders who are getting ready to go out and fundraise. So looking forward to that. Thank you to all of the sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, you can reach out to Hannah at themiddayconnect.com. So without further ado, let's have Sam Wong hop into the driver's seat here.
All righty. So we've got a short time here, and I tend to run my mouth off. So let's dive right in. Can everybody here see a slide?
Not yet.
Not yet. Hannah, you may have to stop sharing.
Okay.
There we go.
All righty. So this is just a short topic on something that's very near and dear to my heart. Is really, how do you continue to learn as a founder? It's really, really hard because I get it. I've done 5 startups, seen how busy everything gets, and I am oftentimes challenged with the tyranny of the urgent that neglects the important. Okay, so that gets to be very, very challenging. I understand that. But if we look at the topic of learning, why is it really important for startup entrepreneurs? Okay, there's a quote that I'd love to refer to from Andrew Chen. He's a general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, and he refers to the stage of the startup that you're in, from pre-seed all the way down to Series C. And he distills their ultimate core gamble into just one thing. Obviously, it's way oversimplified, but it's interesting to see what he considers the core element is. If you're a pre-seed company trying to raise some pre-seed funds, the bet is on the entrepreneur. If you're trying to raise some seed funds, the bet is on the team. So if you're Series A, you bet on the traction. Series B, you bet on the revenue that's been demonstrated. Series C, bet on the unit economics. If you break this down into just the first 2 phases, pre-seed, bet on the entrepreneur, seed, bet on the team, the common thread here is people, okay? The skills behind the people. So by natural deduction, one should focus on building your founder skills. But how? Where do you focus on it? Okay. So I take a very, structured approach towards the process. I look at the business functions of a typical startup, and I define 7 common business functions. If you look at it, this is an oversimplified org chart. You have, of course, engineering, and that could be software, hardware, quality assurance. If you outsource to a third party, it may be managing the third party people, building and the product. There's a product management side of it as well, whereas product marketing, you go through features and benefits, the roadmap, positioning in the market, etc. Classic product marketing, product management types of tasks. Then there's pure marketing, which I define 3 different disciplines within marketing. Product marketing, which is in the product management field. And then the second one is branding. There's lots of different things to be able to deal with from a branding perspective, your identity, the visuals, the communication style, etc. And then the third element of marketing is growth marketing. And there are dozens of ways to be able to ultimately acquire leads and convert those leads into customers. So marketing, the growth marketing is really which one of those dozens of different methods to acquire customers work the best for you, and it's determining the right channel for that. Then next to the marketing is more about visibility, lead generation, etc. Channels and sales is more about the execution through partnerships, through a pipeline, through a resale channel, the back office sales operations, etc., the staffing that needed to do that. Then once you've got a customer, especially with many enterprise B2B types of solutions, you have to have some type of customer experience discipline, customer success, adoption, professional service, technical support, whatever. Those are 5 core disciplines that are built on top of an operational foundation. That operational foundation obviously has accounting, then FP&A, which is financial planning and analysis. They are different. Accounting is not the same as FP&A. Then talent strategy, human resources, legal, government, etc. All the usual back office stuff to run a company, especially one that might be looking for venture funding, which leads us to something that sits on top of all of this, unique to a startup environment. There's another discipline, another business function of founding the company, funding it, and then exiting. Okay. Because this is so prominent in a startup environment, there's lots of things to do that basically is a separate discipline in and of itself. Okay, business planning, the formation details, managing the cap table, managing and evolving the culture, building fundability in your company through a funding strategy, then executing on that strategy to raise funds and hopefully get a term sheet. Okay, so fundamentally, there are 7 different functions. Obviously, there's some companies that might have something else that's unique to them. Maybe you're a hardware company and you need a manufacturing discipline. Okay, so there are even potential ways to make this even bigger and more complex. Let's assume for simplicity that there's just these 7 here. How do you learn how to be able to run all these disciplines? Most founders have some background and knowledge in 1, maybe 2 of these disciplines. But until you can build a company with enough momentum, you have to do it all, or you and your co-founders have to do everything. So you might be doing something that you've never done before, or you might be doing something that you've done before, but you're doing it in the constraints of a small startup with a small budget, with hyper speed needs and demands. Those things are very, very hard. So what ends up happening, because people tend to get stretched, this is what leads to the common Silicon Valley term, fake it till you make it. If you're not a marketer, then you pretend that you know something about marketing, and you do your best. Okay. Well, through looking at the recent news, it's clear that fake it till you make it really doesn't work. It tends to lead to very bad decision making and some poor outcomes. It is hard to do everything that you need to do. So I'm not a fan of that fake it till you make it mentality or that philosophy. There's an article in Entrepreneur Magazine where they actually talked about this and said, don't fake it. You have to learn to become it. And what that means is that, yes, the challenge is, as a startup founder, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to learn. So the conclusion is you have to invest in learning. In the breakout sessions, we had some talks about different resources for learning. So people talked about this venue right here, which is great. I love the concept of the Midday Connect, just a short, brief opportunity to be able to learn. There's a lot of discussion about books that people have gone through. That takes a bit more of an academic or pedagogical approach, where you learn from a process, a book, a textbook, or in a classroom. That is just one dimension. If you look at how to acquire skills, there is a second dimension, which is used more in the athletic and sports world, and that's coaching. Coaching oftentimes is neglected because it's hard to find a good coach who actually specializes in these topics. There are lots of people with experience who can give coaching, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are a professional coach. So there is a difference between people who have knowledge and people who are optimized to share that knowledge. Most of us have probably been through some experience where, especially if you've been to college, I've been in classrooms where the professor was brilliant. He has a PhD in something I'd never understood, okay? And they're trying to teach basic concepts to me, and I just don't get it. Sometimes it's, of course, I don't have enough brain cells, but other times it's because the professor was an academic, was not a great teacher. I had an experience back in college where differential equations and vector linear algebra, I bombed that class. I did lousy. I think I got a C+ or something ridiculous. And the next semester, when we went to differential equations, the teaching assistant said, "You didn't really understand that from the last semester. You're in trouble." And the next time we had a teaching session, he came with tools to visually show me all the concepts that I didn't get in linear algebra. He brought a potato and a bunch of pencils, stabbed the pencils in the potato, and showed how, Gram-Schmidt reduction works and stuff. And I was like, oh, I get it, because you showed it visually. He was not a PhD, but he knew how to teach. And the value of coaching is, I might see an Olympic swimmer say, this is how you swim quickly. This is how you get fast in the water. I go out there and try to do it, and I am slow. A coach can look at it and say, this is the right process, and this is what you're doing wrong. They can help you to apply the learning. So my encouragement here, as we just kind of wrap up this conversation, definitely focus on the academic side, the pedagogical side of it, the book learning, but also focus on the application of that with someone who helps you, okay? Helps you to see things that you're maybe applying incorrectly, things that you need to be able to refine so that you can do better. Even very, very trained and skilled professionals have coaches. Tiger Woods has a swing coach. Steph Curry has a shooting coach. Okay, these are folks who are really at the top of their game in their respective fields, but they still rely on coaches to help them get better. So my encouragement to you is find the right academic environment and find the right set of coaches to help you really succeed. Okay. We'll kind of wrap it up and let's focus on some questions here.
Thanks, Sam. That was great. Q&A time. Would love to hear from people, questions, but also if you've got an example, real life of a coach or a resource. I liked what you said, Sam, about, it's not all about reading a book. For me, it's really hard to just sit down and read a book that's about like a management topic or something. I get super bored, but maybe it's a chapter and then I go and look up the author, or I look up the case study or whatever went into that. But what are you all doing? What questions do you have for Sam? You can just come off mute.
Hey, Sam, Dallin here. Just curious what you think about LinkedIn Learning and the quality that's there.
So interesting. I am a fan of online training. I actually build a lot of online training. I have a startup training academy. So if you go to fundablestartups.com, you'll see some of the self-paced, etc. I think the LinkedIn Learning really depends on the person who's building the class, and most of the people who've built the content do a pretty good job. The challenge is actually applying it and retaining it. Back when I was startup number 5 got acquired by Cisco, and we were trying to change the go-to-market that Cisco had. So the Cisco 88% of Cisco revenue came through a resale channel, a channel partner. All of those channel partners were good at selling hardware. Well, Cisco is trying to move into becoming a software company, and the software sales motion was very different. So I had to build a lot of training classes to help people learn how to be able to sell the software products. What we found was when people took the training by itself, and if they didn't immediately apply it, give it a month, give it 2 months, and they've lost 50, 80% of the content. So I think the LinkedIn Learning can be helpful. Just-in-time training is valuable. The concept of doing it right before you need it. But then also the challenge gets to be, I may learn something, but the actual application of that concept in a training class might be a gap. This is where I think the coaching really comes into play. We try to teach concepts in the classroom and then apply the concepts in the real world, kind of like your teenage kid when they're learning how to drive. They learn the rules of the road from a book, and then they go to driver's training where you have a trained instructor who helps them make sure they don't get in a car accident while they're just learning the road.
Question from Taylor in the chat. Best way to find the right coach, and also any tips on translating what I read into the first actionable task.
Okay. So finding a good coach. I have a half hour worth of slides on finding a good coach. In the context of entrepreneurs, I've got a couple of blog articles, which let me stop sharing so I can kind of start popping some of these blog articles into the chat window. Number one, I'd say obviously somebody who's actually done it before. Okay, there's no doubt about that. Somebody who has the raw skill. But sometimes startup entrepreneurs mistake success for great coaching. The analogy I would give is Michael Jordan, basketball. I think he's the GOAT. There's lots of arguments and debates about that, but I respect the guy's skills a ton. I think he's the best basketball player ever. But as a coach and a leader, he's not very successful. Okay. So some people equate, oh, this entrepreneur over here got a nice big fat exit. Let me go learn from that person. And maybe that might be a good teacher or coach, but that, a successful exit does not always mean a great coach. Okay. So having the raw skill, of course, one. Two, I would say someone who actually has done it in the startup space with startup constraints. Okay. Somebody who's, if let's say you're trying to figure out your sales engine, somebody who's a VP of sales for a Fortune 500 company may or may not be the greatest person for you, because that is a different environment. They have a huge budget with a huge team. It's a different skill set. I would compare the VP of sales at a Fortune 500 company to a jumbo jet pilot, where the leader of a startup is more of a motorcycle racer. Okay, the speed at which you make decisions, the danger that you face, etc. It's a very different skill set. Yes, some jumbo jet pilots can also be motorcycle racers, but it's a little more rare. Okay, so number one, do they have the skill? Number two, have they done it in a startup environment? Number three, do they have the time and attention to go into the detail? There's an article from First Round Capital, venture firm, that talks about how startup advisory is broken. And I absolutely agree. 90% of startups fail. Most of those startups that do fail have advisors. Many of the advisors focus to maybe spend 1 hour a month with the startup, and that's usually not enough. Okay. So my encouragement is, do people get into enough detail to help you truly solve the right problem? When I was a first-time CEO, the startup number 4, that company was distressed multiple times. We almost went bankrupt a few times. And I had some problems I didn't know how to solve. So a friend of mine connected me with a with a CEO of a publicly traded software company. I was very grateful for that time, but that CEO spent 5 minutes asking me questions and the next hour chastising me on all my mistakes. That person did not know the detail. In fact, that person recommended that I just hire a hotshot salesperson to solve my sales problems. But the hotshot salesperson would cost $500,000 a year. I didn't have that was like 4 people's salary at my company. Okay. I didn't have that type of budget. So he gave me advice that was non-actionable. Okay. So the other thing I would say is that somebody who I already mentioned, it's somebody who actually has the coaching skill. Okay. So those are the 4 things I look for. Do they have the knowledge? Have they done it in a startup environment? Are they detailed? And do they have a coaching methodology to help you build your skills?
Good. Okay, a couple other questions. Let's rapid fire on these. So from Rich, and maybe Rich, can you come off mute? So you said, how does academic pedagogy versus coaching work for technical subjects such as beginner programming? Can you expound a little bit on that, Rich?
Mm-hmm.
Is he still here? Oh yeah, you're on here, Rich. Okay, Rich, you get 2 or 3 seconds counting on the clock. Okay. Moving on to the next question, because I don't understand that question.
Well, I can at least comment on one thing real quick.
Okay.
I will say beginner technical subjects, that's usually not the problem for most entrepreneurial environments. Okay. Certainly that is a challenge and stuff, but most people who are entrepreneurs have basic skills like basic software development, basic programming. They already have that in their toolkit. And if they don't, it's easily acquired. The challenges that most startups and entrepreneurs face are much harder than that particular topic. So I'll leave it at that, and then let's go to the next question.
Okay, next one from Jason. When trying to find the right coach, what questions should you ask? What are typical coaching fees?
Yeah. So in terms of coaching questions, maybe what I can do is point folks to a few of the blog articles that I have. Let me go ahead and I wasn't planning on doing this, but so it'll take me a moment to.
That's okay. And maybe Sam, what we can do is, so Hannah will share out the recording and some information. We can drop some of this into LinkedIn and people can go and find it there.
Mhm.
I think I found the first round article. I put that in the chat. I'll go on to any other questions from the group. Maybe let's take one or two more.
Okay. And there was a question, the second part of that previous question about coaching fees. Coaches are going to be compensated in either cash or equity in a startup environment. A lot of coaches will take the equity because they know that cash is a precious commodity in a startup environment. So from an equity perspective, if you look at the founder advisor standard template, which is a template which was produced by the Founder Institute, they compensate advisors anywhere from 0.15% all the way to 1%. Personally, I think their methodology for how to calculate that is very flawed. Okay, I think that FAST template is the most popular template out there. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it a 3 out of 10. It's a fairly problematic template. Okay, but it's the most popular because it's the one that's out there that's available. How do you assess the value of a coach? I would say that it really comes down to figuring out the 4 things that I mentioned earlier. Do they have the raw knowledge? Do they have that in the startup space? Have they done it before? And do they get into detail? Because most people, entrepreneurs, you're probably fairly skilled. The problems you face are probably pretty hard. Sound bites that are good for a cat poster are usually not going to be good enough for you to solve that problem. So they need to get into more detail and more time with you to understand your situation, to truly give you the best advice. So the amount of time spent. Unfortunately, when you do spend more time, that usually means more cost. So there is going to be a balance. The questions I would ask would focus on the 4 areas that I mentioned earlier.
Very good. Okay.
Sam, what's the best way to get a coach up to speed quickly?
Wow. Okay. Well, what I like to do is I encourage people to, at least in the startup space, to use a lean canvas or some version of the business model canvas. Okay. It provides a standardized way to be able to communicate 9 different aspects of the business. Okay. So very few people have actually done a lean canvas, believe it or not. I don't usually see that. But that is one way to provide context very, very quickly so that you can go beyond the elementary school questions into the middle school, high school, and college level questions relevant to your startup. But I would start with some type of canvas that it hopefully provides some context in a structured way.
Love that.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say, do you happen to have a particular example or template that you like? Because you said there are ones available online that aren't as good. Do you have an example of a lean canvas you do enjoy using?
Yeah, so if you go to Ash Maurya's website, he used the thought leader behind the lean canvas. He modified the business model canvas to or I'm just typing in the guy's name. He wrote lean analytics and a number of lean startup types of textbooks. So if you look up his name, you can go to this website, register for an account, and then build your own lean canvas using their template tools online.
Cool. I mean, and when you think lean, I was in a meeting last week at Summit. Everybody was in the meeting was throwing up their version of their canvas, and one of them was just PowerPoint. It didn't have the outline. It was just blocks of text, as you would see it. And so, I mean, minimum viable canvas works too. But I love that idea of, bringing someone up to speed by just showing them the business model canvas. That's awesome. Okay, everyone, we've got time for one more question with Sam while we have him. Anything about coaching, learning, leveling up for founders and entrepreneurs?
Because we have Sam here, and one of the things I love about his program and everything, and maybe you can just touch a little bit about those inflection points about when you are fundraising, because I think that's so important that most people don't talk about. So let's glean a little bit more from you.
Sure. So I think what Nancy's asking about is I am not a fan of random haphazard fundraising. Well, how much are you raising? Well, I am in the seed round. If I go to pitchbook.com, the average seed round is $2 million or whatever the current number is. Okay. So since the average is 2 million, I guess I'll raise 2 million. I think, that's a broken clock approach towards telling time. You might get it right twice a day. Okay. I am a fan of bottoms up analysis to build a funding strategy. And the funding strategy consists of the approach, your vehicles, your sources, and your targets. What Nancy is talking about is the first segment of the funding strategy, the approach. We recommend that people identify inflection points in 4 different areas of their business: product, sales and marketing, business development, and intellectual property. Use those inflection points as markers on your journey down each one of those individual paths. Determine the time and cost necessary to hit each of those markers, then coalesce those markers together so that you can roll them up into high-level funding milestones. When you do that from the bottoms up, I have these 13 inflection points. Each one of them has, this cost and this time. Then you will know with a higher degree of confidence how much money you need to raise, how much time it's going to take for you to execute on that. And then you pad that a little bit, of course. And then you can say, the bottoms up added up to 750,000. I'm going to pad it to 1.1 million, and I'm going to raise that much. You have a higher degree of confidence that you're going to actually raise the right amount. Raise too little, obviously you're in trouble. You run out of money before you hit the next milestone. Run out of gas before you hit the next city. Okay. You raise too much, well, you've over diluted yourself. Okay. Why do that to your payout? Okay. So going through the bottoms up process helps you have higher confidence that the amount, how much you need to raise, when you need to raise it, and why you should raise this way. It gives you the ability to raise at the optimal valuation when you are the most valuable, minimizing your dilution.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam.
You see, that for me, that's the kind of learning, that's the kind of coaching, that's the kind of approach that I really, I'm a big fan of Sam's.
Well, thanks, Nancy. A lot of what I try to do is not just, if somebody asks a question, I try to minimally just espouse and pontificate. I try to talk about the process of how to do that. Once you've bought into the process, let's talk about where you're at in the process and where there might be a gap where we need to address or close. Okay.
Thanks, everyone, for coming out. Thanks, Sam, especially. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck.